Okay, so guys, let's start with the breakdown. Um, as we know, we start with naked charts. We take a higher time frame perspective. Well, uh, in this set of price action, there was no clear higher time frame perspective. Besides the fact that we have a rejection block here. If you know what a rejection block is, sorry for that. This was a rejection block, but yeah, like the bias was not quite clear because of the Asian and London price action. It was a seek and destroy price action, so there was no clear bias and I was gonna trade based on whatever setup I get. And the reason why I'm telling that it was a seek and destroy price action is because the whole Asia consolidated. When London started, we still consolidated. The London took the Asian low, and the late London, the London close kill zones or the London lunch took out the Asian highs. This, whenever you see this kind of price action happening, make sure that the New York session as well will be in a seek and destroy price action, which will be like what the retailers say, an expanding um, funnel, or I don't know what a real word is there, but like it will move from ranges to ranges and the price action will not be quite predictable. So if you are taking any trade, it must be a very short term trade having a very short term targets, not huge targets that if you are going long here you are targeting that this high will be raided. No, that's not gonna happen today because we also don't have any news. Now let's see the trade which I took. And for that I will go to the 3 minute time frame. If you guys are familiar with the concepts of Rich the Bull, he highly elaborates on the part of fractalizing the range. Well, we know very clearly what time is fractal. Like when we say time is fractal, we mean that if we are on a daily setup, we can go to the 1 hour setup, and on the 1 hour POI we can take an M5 entry. In this way, time is fractal, by which we can frame our trades on an M5 time frame also when the bias is set on the daily time frame. When we say ranges are fractal, what do you mean by ranges are fractal? So if I consider this whole up move, right? This whole up move is a range here which took out the low as well as the high. Now if price is digging deep, there will be a point where it will reverse, right? And for the reversal we all use SMT. So when price was digging deep here, it reached the 50% and there was no SMT yet. So what I do, I fractalize the range. I fractalize the range even deeper. So I use this range and use this point as my new equilibrium. Now what I see, price came here. Let me show you what ES was doing at this time so that you can get a clear picture. Alright. So ES was also going down like this. When this range was hit, there was no SMT yet on ES also and NQ also. So what we do, we again fractalize this small range. It might sound quite what's the point behind this, but yes, you will see the sauce. I'm not gonna give a detailed elaboration. I will leave it up to you. uh, Spend your time, backtest it, forward test it, and see the magics. So now I fractalize this range, and what I see is that this equilibrium is here. Price when taps this equilibrium, what we see when this NQ taps this equilibrium, ES is taking out this low, which NQ is not taking out. What is this? An SMT. So what we are saying is that on this fractal range equilibrium, we are getting an SMT as well as we are respecting the fractal range equilibrium. Now these things don't require a setup for entry, right? There will not be a setup which I will say that, oh yeah, the price is going up, we have a breaker block, you enter with the breaker block. It's rubbish. Those things don't apply when you are trading ranges. In ranges, you completely rely on OHLC, OLCH, and wicks being acting as gaps, intermediate or interlapping whips acting as gaps and supporting prices higher. So now what happened here? On this candle itself, our SMT was formed 1 minute. This is the 1 minute time frame. Our SMT was formed as well as our fractal range equilibrium was hit. So what I did is, as soon as this candle was formed, I took this wick. If you know that ICT in his series of high frequency scalping, he says that if price wants to continue lower, this candle or candles ahead of it will start closing below this midpoint of the wick. If this candle would have closed below the midpoint, I would have not entered long at any cost. Because if the candles wick are closing below 50% of this wick, then there is a very high chance that they are going lower and taking out this wick and maybe even more lower, right? So what I see is that the second candle respected the wick, so immediately at this point I entered long. And as I am not a futures trader, so I also have to deal with the spread. So my long entry was filled somewhere here. And you would ask where my stop loss is. My stop loss is initially at this low, but I will tell you one thing very frankly: when you are trading these entries, you don't place a stop loss. If I see any candle disrespecting bullish PD arrays and continuously making open high low close, which is against my bias, which is a bullish bias. For bullish bias, I need candles doing open low high close, then I will exit the trade. For example, if I entered here and this second candle closes below 50%, I'm out of the trade. I'm not going to wait to take this SL, right? It's quite clear. So I entered on the closing of this candle, and the second candle shot up. Now as we see, prices are supporting the PD arrays which are in our direction, goes up, comes down nearly to an equilibrium. I'm not gonna mark everything out. Now see, this was a seek and destroy what we say price action. So at the beginning itself I told you, if you are trading a seek and destroy price action, your targets should be very short term and low targets. So my target was clearly and strictly the equilibrium of this range, which means this bearish range equilibrium is my target. I don't care if after booking my profit here prices go higher and make a new high. I don't care. It doesn't make any sense, because in a seek and destroy time or seek and destroy price action, there are very high chances that you are gonna get stopped out at break even by holding trades, and that trade will stink your mind, will not let you think about other setups forming up. So this was a clear, I don't know what the RR is. It's about 3 or 4 RR because of the spread. Like even if I get an enter here because of not a futures trader, I get filled here. Even if I am placing my TP here, so I have to, because of the spread, I have to place my TP somewhat lower to get filled in. So I think so it was around 2 or 3 R. But yeah, in such kind of entries, the RR doesn't matter. What matters is the accuracy. And you see how crucially this equilibrium worked, and it is now sending prices lower. Now I'm not interested in trading the last macro or the last few hours of the session, but yeah, we will see if we get a very good setup, then we will try. But like, most probably I'm gonna go have a good sleep now. It's sleeping time for me in India. So this was it. If you find this video insightful, please drop a like below, and so that you can motivate me on making more such videos. Thank you guys.